Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel, the #1 YouTube channel for you to level up your communication skills, learn the art of public speaking, social skills, and personal branding to take your message to the world. For today's episode, we're entering the world of social skills, and I'm going to be talking about the #1 biggest enemy of charisma. You ready for it? The #1 biggest enemy of charisma is thinking. Wait, what? Thinking? Yes. Most charismatic people that you know, they take pride in not thinking that much because they understand that the more that they think, the more that their charisma melts away. But in reality, what exactly is charisma? One of the best ways to look at it is your divine qualities. And when you think of something being divine, do you think of it being someone who's doing just thinking a lot? Thinking is not the same as breathing. And once you start understanding that, your entire reality starts to shatter. It starts to reemerge as something brand new. It's sort of scary because if you think about it, if someone is struggling with alcohol, you can tell that they're struggling with alcohol. You call it alcohol addiction. If someone is, say, struggling with marijuana, you can say it's marijuana addiction. With cigarettes addiction. But you can't quite tell when someone is struggling with thinking addiction. And this is very scary because it is a form of addiction that holds you back from seeing reality. I want you to use your imagination for a second. Imagine that there's this world that exists and it's called DigiWorld. And in DigiWorld, a lot of the people look just like us. They have the same 2 eyes, the same palms, same hair, etc. There's something very different about DigiWorld. Humans in this world, they live life through their phones. All the time, they're just looking at their phones. And if one person in DigiWorld wants to talk to another person, they'll say, hey, do you want to meet at the coffee bar, for example? And the other person's like, yeah, sure, see you there. Now, once both of these individuals get to coffee bar, they do their little Google Maps and everything. They're sitting across from each other and they're saying, hey, how are you doing? And then the other person responds to it, doing very well. How was your week? The entire time, their lives are via their phones. That's all they're seeing. Well, one day, one of the residents of DigiWorld is waiting for the bus. And as he's waiting for the bus, he notices that his phone is being a little too slow. And he's getting irritated. Small things are making him very, very irritated. So he's trying to buffer a page, but it's not buffering. And the person next to him keeps on coughing. And this person's cough is irritating this individual more and more and more. Eventually, it gets to a point where this guy's like, will you pipe down a little? This is the first time this individual stopped looking at his phone and saw something else. He saw that there was an actual human right next to him. So he touches this human's face to see if this individual is real. But what exactly is real? The individuals from DigiWorld has always seen life via their phone. And now this person is seeing a brand new paradigm. This kid is awoken. He's like, whoa, wait a minute. I was living life wrong this whole time. I thought life only existed via this phone. But no, look around you. This is pretty dope. So this guy is now awoken. He wants to go around and tell the other people from DigiWorld, guys, just look up. This isn't reality. The reality is around you. This is just a tool. But everyone else, they're stuck in their phone, just talking and talking away. They completely ignored this individual that is trying to wake them up. Well, if you couldn't put it together, this right here, it's supposed to be a tool, right? The phone is supposed to be a tool. If you use it correctly, then it's going to help you build businesses, communicate your message overseas, and do a whole bunch of cool stuff. But if you only see life through this phone, then something very bizarre happens. You lose touch with reality. It's the same concept with thinking. Thinking is something that you're supposed to treat sort of like a phone. If you need to build new ideas, you can build it. If you want to use your imagination, you can use it. But for the most part, that's not where you want to live. Unfortunately, that is where a lot of people live. When you tell them that they don't necessarily need to think, they can choose when they want to think, this is a foreign concept to them. They equate thinking with consciousness. They think, well, if I stop thinking, then I'll just die. So I give them the scenario. When you're talking to your best friend, are you thinking a lot? Well, not really, no. I mean, I'm just in the moment. I'm just having fun. Exactly. When you're petting your dog, are you thinking a lot? Well, no, not really. What about when you see a baby laugh? Are you thinking a lot then? No. So you don't necessarily need to think. Now, at first, this is sort of like an aha moment. You're like, wait a minute. I've been confusing thinking with consciousness this whole time. What have I been doing? But it's good that at least you're bringing awareness to this at one point or another. You shouldn't think unless you have to. Most of the most charismatic people that you know, they're not thinking. They're in the present moment. And the more present they are, the more that they magnify their presence. It's a powerful power to have. But when you're thinking too much, you're either in the past or the future. You're thinking about right or wrong, and your ego is taking a stronger grasp of you. Your ego always needs an enemy. That's why when you're competing too much against other people, it feels good at first. You may get what you were trying to get, but over time, it starts making you think and think and think more. When you start competing against your prior day self, you start having this level of relaxation. You're not looking out so much. Instead, you're looking in. And when you're looking in, you start becoming more present. Armani, if this is the case, how come so many people are suffering from thinking addiction? I have a theory. Somewhere along the lines, the mind became the master and the body became the servant. While in reality, the body was supposed to become the master and the mind was supposed to be the servant. But as humans became more intellectually gifted, they started to use their mind more and more and more. And that's how we measured intelligence. Once we started to measure intelligence that way, the mind now became the master. But the mind doesn't make a good master. It makes a very good servant, but not a good master. Just like the phone doesn't make a good master, it causes phone addiction, but the human makes the good master and can leverage the phone. You see what I'm saying? So somewhere along the lines, the mind became the master and the body, the heart, became the servant. And every now and then, you'll see that there are certain parts of your life where the body wants control back, the heart wants control back. But any time that you threaten the mind is like, this is my block now. I am the captain. And it doesn't want to relinquish control. So you have to fight this at a certain level. That's why communication skills is so important, because it helps you see a brand new way of living. Now, for a lot of you logical people, you probably still have no clue what I'm talking about when I'm saying that you don't have to think. So let me just give you an example. There's a lot of different practices out there, but one good practice is to close your eyes and ask yourself, how do you know that your nose is still there? And when you ask yourself this, you are bringing conscious focus into your nose. You start feeling your nose. And as you're starting to feel your nose, what you'll realize is that thinking processes, it's suspended. Imagine if that's the way that you could live. Imagine that you're living in your body and you use your mind when you need to. Well, you can. And I finally woke up through public speaking. I noticed every single time that I had a speech coming up, right before I was about to get on stage, there was always this idiot that would come up to me and say, "Oh, aren't you nervous?" And typically I would think, well, yeah, I should be nervous, shouldn't I? And that's when my mind will start thinking and thinking of different reasons why I should be nervous. And I'm only 2 minutes away from being called on stage. And one day I finally had this moment where I'm just like, yo, idiot, quit thinking so much. Just stay in your body. And the thoughts were still running, but then I started to feel the sensations in the body. And when you're feeling the sensations in your body, you notice that your thinking may or may not be going on, but you don't care. You're feeling the sensations in your body, which allow you to stay present and allow you to feel energized. That's, by the way, the key to overcoming speech anxiety. It's by living in your body. When you start living in your body, the thoughts that used to make you the most panicked, nowadays, it actually livens you up. It makes you feel as though you're in some form of therapy. Every thought, you'll notice, if you're very, very astute, every thought generates a charge in your body. So when you're feeling very, very anxious thoughts, when you're thinking a lot, your body also is feeling a lot of sensations. That is the perfect opportunity to rewire yourself into a brand new way of living. Start identifying with the body. Charismatic people, they don't think like that. And that's the biggest crux. That's the worst thing that a potentially charismatic person can do. Think a lot. Your biggest social problems are from thinking. Well, I was thinking about the next thing that I was going to say. Well, I was thinking about what the other person may have said. Well, I was judging the other person. All problems that you're having because you're in your mind too much. Remember this, your mind is meant to be a servant, not the master, but a loyal servant. Just like when you finally wake up and you start using your phone for good reasons, rather than just, I don't know what most people do, just watching memes, watching nonsense, trolling. Instead of using your phone for that, realize that you could use this to build some semblance of a legacy. Imagine if Benjamin Franklin, Abraham Lincoln, or Aristotle had access to something like this. They'd be creating magic, but they'll understand that it's self-awareness that's key. When you're self-aware in the real world, that's the true form of intelligence, not how much you can think from thought to thought to thought. And the more self-aware that you become, the more you realize that thinking is typically just an illusion. I want to give you one final example, and I'm going to conclude this video. A thinking mind, it dissects a lot. It breaks things down. So imagine you're in the beach. What a thinking mind would do is they'd be like, oh, look at that one wave. Look at that wave. Look at that wave. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start labeling these waves, wave A, wave B, wave C, based off of how powerful they seem. So they're like, all right, this is wave A. This is wave B. This one looks sort of like wave A and wave B. Which one is it? Wave C. Well, what's that? And they're just going left and right from wave to wave, just intellectually trying to weasel themselves out of this. While the person who's present looks at this and says, it's just an ocean. They don't see all these waves and all this random stuff. It's just the ocean. You want to become the latter party, and that's when you start unlocking your true charisma. That's when you start unlocking the divine sides to you that a lot of people have, but they're just not tapping into yet. Communication skills is going to be the bridge from your lower self to your higher self, but you gotta stay consistent. Watch the right content like the episodes in this channel, consume the right stuff, and start hanging out with winners. Communication skills is a holistic approach. We all have charisma within us. It's up to us, though, to bring it out. Thank you for joining the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel, and I'll catch you on the next episode.